Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is Bloodline, the original OG Bloodline, knockoff Bloodline 2.0, in what I would call a pretty good War Games match. Um, we have CM Punk filling in, and there was a lot to do with CM Punk and the Roman Reigns thing. So, pretty good stuff from them. And, a lot of other stuff highlighted, specifically Jacob Fatu was great. But it ends up being that the OG Bloodline win it. And we said before in our predictions that they felt like they were the favorites as far as like the better superstars on their team. So that victory came to fruition. Dom, what'd you think of this matchup?
I think I got swerved because there were no swerves.
Right.
Right? And the baby faces won. They took out everybody, helped each other up, and it was just Solo Sikoa surrounded by the 5 members: Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. And they just took their turns. I mean, first, Roman took a step towards Solo with his arms out and gave him a chance to come back into the fold and run back the original bloodline. And Solo Sikoa refused and just went after him 1-on-5. And, of course, he's not going to win 1-on-5, especially as a heel. The Usos both super kick their younger brother. Sammy gives him a haluva kick as he's laid up in the corner. CM Punk hits a go to sleep on him, and his Solo still won't go down. He's still staggering. Roman spears him, and then Roman Reigns pins Solo Sikoa. Match went about 42 minutes from what I had here, bell to bell. So pretty good chunk of time for the men's War Game match here. Like I said, we were not swerved. Nobody turned on anybody. There was nobody else who showed up at the very end. I mean, Paul Heyman came down to the ring at one point to plead with Roman and CM Punk to just work it out and be on the same page together just for this one match. But at the end, this thing ends with everybody, the 4 OG Bloodline members with the one finger up in the air, Punk doing his go to sleep gesture. Even after Punk walks up the ramp before them, they all catch up to him, tell him to wait. Heyman brings him back, and then at the top of the entrance ramp, all 6 of them now, including Heyman, standing together. So we got no sort. The baby faces acted like a well-oiled machine. I don't know whether to be disappointed or whether to go like, oh, okay, finally, one time it made sense. The baby faces got along. But fun match. What do you want to unpack from it first?
Yeah, I think you kind of already mentioned it. No swerves. So there's been so much animosity and back and forth within the OG bloodline that none of it boiled up. And you could say, the brothers had a rivalry and fought each other in WrestleMania. They wrestled each other at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Sami Zayn had his incidents with the bloodline and wrestling Roman Reigns. And all this was just, it was like we deleted everything out and we're bringing the band back together. And nothing. They gave they were working in perfect harmony. There wasn't even one little bloodline you know, oh, are you sure you want to do that? And then there's that little animosity. And that's what makes the bloodline great, is because there's always who's going to turn on who and what's going to happen.
Right.
But that was mostly done by CM Punk tonight with Roman Reigns. He kind of took that role of will he turn or not kind of thing.
What was your favorite little CM Punk thing that he did to Roman? It started in the cage, in the entrance cages.
I liked how Roman little brothered him the whole time. He big brother little brothered him, and was like, "No, you can't go." And then he's like, "Then he's gonna go," and then CM Punk storms off. And
third man in was supposed to be Punk. Punk was itching to go. Roman put his arm out and held him back and looked at Sammy to go. And Sammy initially was confused.
Yeah.
But he went. And then the next time, fourth man in, Roman looked like he was all ready, but of course he was doing the slow Roman thing. And CM Punk just pushed past him and got out the cage first. So now technically CM Punk's the guy in. They have to close the cage on Roman. Now in the match, what were your favorite CM Punk Roman Reigns little tiffs that were going on? I had a few. Did you have any that stood out to you that it could have been a breakdown of the team if it just boiled over just a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, when Roman Reigns speared him
Yeah,
accidentally, right?
accidentally speared CM Punk. Yep.
That was the one that was like, uh-oh, here it is. It's all falling apart. But they get on the right page when Roman pulls him off the table. Roman Reigns or CM Punk pulls Roman Reigns off the table as Bronson Reed comes from the top of the cage, which was crazy because Bronson Reed is so huge, and I was like,
Yes.
wow, he even got up there. Even to get up there at that size is impressive.
Yes.
How about you? What were your favorite little Roman CM Punk things?
As soon as they all got in the ring together, and Roman had to do this, by the way, by scaling the cage
Mm,
because Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu locked the cage door behind them with a chain and a padlock. As soon as
yeah.
Solo got in, trying to preserve a 5-on-4 advantage. So Roman scales the cage, gets up. There's no ref, so technically the War Games match hasn't begun. But Roman is there. All the heels are taken out. Roman goes one by one, helps up every member of his team except CM Punk. He
Mm-hmm.
helps up both of the Uso brothers, walks past CM Punk, helps up Sammy, and then CM Punk gets up on his own and they kind of do the stare down. So there was
Yeah.
that tension there that had boiled over from being in the entrance cage. Now it's going on in the ring. You mentioned it later. CM Punk had one of the guys, I think it was Jacob Fatu, up on his shoulders, fireman's carry, like he was going to do a go to sleep. Um, Roman bounced off the ropes to hit a spear on Solo. Solo sidestepped him. Roman just clobbered Punk with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that looked like, oh no, this is really breaking down. But then, like you said, CM Punk saved Roman Reigns from the tsunami. And when
Mm-hmm.
Roman realized what had happened, helped perhaps by the CM Punk chants that rang out from the crowd there in Vancouver, Canada, um, Roman realized what happened, extended his hand to CM Punk and helped him up. CM Punk accepted him. And then, but then I wrote down Jacob Fatu breaks up the tender moment, just to
Yeah.
make us realize that, hey, it's still War Games pro wrestling match. And they're still trying to beat each other up.
Yeah. And did you notice at the end there when they're leaving the ring and CM Punk and Paul Heyman embrace and what they said to each other? Did you hear?
Yeah, Paul went. One of the Usos went out first, then CM Punk went out and went right to Paul Heyman, and they got a big hug. And
Mm.
CM Punk mentioned something that had been on the recorded vignette the night before on SmackDown, that you owe me a favor. I'm
Yeah.
doing this as a favor to you, Paul Heyman. When I need it, I'm going to call in my favor. And he said
Yeah.
it last night on the video, and he said it again tonight after the match. And great hard camera was right up on him, not just getting the visual, but they got enough of the microphone so you could hear CM Punk saying it. So
Yeah.
the story continues. CM Punk now has, like the get out of jail free card. He's got the Paul Heyman favor card that he can play at any time he needs it.
And this isn't. I thought it might be a continuation like that. We'll have CM Punk now be a part of the Bloodline, but it feels like this was just a one-off because he's not even putting the finger up. He's got the
Nope.
go to sleep thing,
He's
and
doing the sleep gesture.
and
Yep.
he was genuinely hard to work with. Like you could tell, like he was like not super following along and just listening to what Roman would
Nope.
say, and yeah, so he's just like, yeah, you can go on without me if you want. Like
Yep.
he's a mercenary. He's a hired gun for this match.
Absolutely. He was brought in just for whenever these War Games matches happen, there's always somebody like that who's just brought in as a hired gun.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk acted like it. CM
Yeah.
Punk was not pretending. They're like, oh, yeah, we're all friends. We've been friends for years. We got each other's back. He's like, no. Paul Heyman contacted me, asked me for a favor. I agreed to do it because now whenever I need it, I get a favor from him. He
Yep.
was totally a hired gun.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the War Games match. Anything else you want to talk about here with the War Games match? I mean, it went 41 minutes, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great looking match. Guys bumped for each other, sold for each other. Everybody got their stuff in. Everybody got to do their high spots at one time or another. Jimmy Uso eventually did hit an Uso splash off the top of the cage.
Yeah.
Which was fun, but nobody was able to get a pinfall there. Jay speared Tongaloa. Sammy Blue Thunderbomb Tamatanga. And then Jimmy hit the big splash onto Jacob Fatu through the table. Nobody was able to cover because everyone was down. And then that led to the faces eventually helping each other up and surrounding Solo Sikoa. So everybody got their stuff in. Bronson Reed did the tsunami. Then he did the tsunami off the top of the cage, through the table, although
I
no
have
one
that
was
in
on
my
the
notes.
table.
One of my favorite spots was not off of the cage, but the tsunami to Sami Zayn. I was like, this move is awesome.
Yes.
I don't know. There's something about that. It's like the height he gets and the size. Bronson Reed gets around really well for his size. Like he scurried right up that cage, like no problem. And I was like, if you looked at him, you're like, is he going to be able to get up? Because he's so big.
He does something on the top turnbuckle that makes the move look better. A lot of the other guys, they stand up there, both feet, and they perch and they pose. Bronson Reed does not. Bronson Reed gets 1 foot on the top turnbuckle, and then that's when he does his pose. So as he gets his second foot onto the top turnbuckle, he's already into the move coming off. So it looks like he's getting more height than he is because you see him ascend right before he goes off the turnbuckle. But he's not posing there and leaping. He's just getting himself up and going in one motion. It's not the pose.
Interesting.
So it's really good, but he's very agile to even do it. I mean, at 300 and whatever pounds, I don't know that he could actually balance up there for very long. The Fixer! Good morning, Fixer! How are things in the UK? Did you see Survivor Series? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in, Fixer. Long time no chat. It's only been a couple of weeks, I think, but we were talking about you.
We were thinking about you, talking about you. Great to have you back, Fixer. Anybody else who's live with us, jump in the chat. Look, the Fixer broke the ice for you. He showed you how it's done. Jump in the chat. Have something constructive to say, something to add, and John will put you on screen. He's controlling the board there, and we'll give you a shout out. And if you say something that we can respond to, we'll go for it. Wonderful. Thank you, Fixer. That's the lead. We've done everything. We've talked about the match, and we got the Fixer back. I think that's a perfect lead.
That's the lead, and Dom, we can move into the follow. And I was thinking, because we're talking War Games here, I was thinking because we're talking War Games here, how about we go to the other War Games? And quite frankly, the better War Games, the women's War Games that opened up the night, in my opinion, was better.
Okay.
And we have less of a storyline, but more action. And I feel that, we have Rhea Ripley's team go over. So Rhea Ripley pins Liv Morgan, who's currently a champion. And she ends up doing her finishing maneuver. Is it the pump handle slam?
The pump handle riptide, the pump handle slam. You got it.
Yeah, the pump handle slam off of the top rope. Looked really good. And it looked like it killed Liv Morgan, and she was down for the 3.
Through a table. Shades of the WrestleMania match where Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte Flair with the pump handle slam, that riptide off the ropes, but not through a table.
Well, we'll clue you in, the Fixer. You missed the show. You've come to the right place.
You came to the right place. Don't Bury the Lead has all the action recap for you.
And there's a lot that happened, so you might want to hang in there.
This match goes 38 minutes, so 4 minutes less than the men's, but like you were saying, quicker paced match. Lots of action in this. Lots of smaller angles and relationships between the people here, not just a big gang versus gang thing, but there were lots of the Roman Reigns CM Punk angles going on in this match.
Yeah, it was more than Roman Reigns and CM Punk. It was like little things that they were building for things that will happen down the road.
Liv and Nia still having some animosity. They just wrestled in Crown Jewel. Tiffany Stratton bringing her Money in the Bank briefcase, hiding it in a trash can that she brought into the ring, and at one point taking out the case as both Nia and Liv Morgan were down flat on their backs, and you were wondering if we were going to get a cash in. Bayley and Io, could they coexist? Things like that. Bayley and Bianca, Io and Bianca, could they coexist? Would anybody like Candice LeRae?
Right.
So plenty to who's just been trying to weasel her way into everything.
Mhm.
So lots of little storylines going on here, but like you said, tons of action. What's your favorite spots, favorite sequences from this match, since you've already called out that it was action packed?
Yeah. My favorite thing was well, come on now. Io Sky, who is my official MVP of the War Games in modern day WWE history. She always does the craziest, wildest thing off the top rope, or off the top of the cage.
Uh-huh.
So she goes to the top of the cage. She's fumbling around with the trash can because she has to put it on her. There's a chain just in one of the trash cans that she grabbed. So she
Yep.
throws the chain to the ground, plops on the trash can, and does a moonsault with the trash can, hopefully hoping that they catch her, and they
Yes.
do. I noticed she went all the way around too.
Yes.
Not like,
Total moonsault.
yeah, like almost like she went, like she would have landed on her feet if they weren't there.
Still would
So,
have hurt.
yeah, would have hurt a lot. And it's so scary because you're just like, it's really dependent on, because I'm always thinking like she can't hear or see anything. I hope she
No.
knows what's going on when she
I-
does it.
And in tandem, Tiffany Stratton had climbed the cage on an adjacent long side of the whole structure. And when she saw Io go into the backflip, she went for her own flipping senton onto the wrestlers who were in her adjacent ring. So we got simultaneous flipping off the top of the cage, cross body moves onto piles of wrestlers on the floor.
Yeah.
Great work by everybody, not only Tiffany and Io going off the top of the cage, but everybody underneath having to catch just this missile of a human being. And it's not even like, you're catching an exercise ball or something. You're catching a flailing human with knees and elbows and feet and skulls and shoulder blades. That can't be fun for anybody involved, but it was a highlight spot involving all 10 wrestlers. Beautiful. And you called it. Io upped her game every year. The first year we saw her, she moonsaulted off the top of the cage. The next year we saw her, she puts the trash can on herself and kind of cross bodies everybody. This year, she gets the trash can and does the full moonsault off the corner.
Nuts. Completely nuts.
I don't know what she's going to do next year. Does she wear two trash cans so she's just this metal log hurtling through the air? I mean, what happens?
And it's so crazy because she's been a champion, and I think she's a pretty good champ.
Yeah.
So it's not like she has to be this gimmick, but she
No.
just does it. She's like, no, War Games match. I'm going to do the crazy thing. I can't wait.
Yes.
What's the craziest thing I could do? And then I also wrote up this about Tiffany Stratton. I just said she's fantastic. She was fantastic.
She did look good in this match.
She is unbelievably good and is slowly, like, if we're going to talk about like at the end of this year MVPs, like she's in the MVP race for me.
Yep.
So men or women, that's just
or at least most improved, because she came out of nowhere.
Unbelievable. I had heard nothing about her. And then she comes up from NXT, and there's a lot of people that get brought up from NXT that don't make it, or
they don't make it. Yeah, she did her Alabama slams on a couple of people. Did that handspring back elbow in the corner, the Great Muta move. She and Io Sky had a little face-off early, where they each did the acrobatics and were avoiding each other, and it was one-upmanship, and it really shows you, because like Tiffany Stratton's a world-class trained gymnast. She's competed in world-class competitions. And Io Sky, for what they were doing, looked like sort of her equal with the acrobatics and the timing and the speed of everything. It was neat to watch. I usually don't like acrobatics, but if you have two people in there who look like there could be professional gymnasts, then I don't mind if they take 15 seconds and just, fast-paced, try to hit each other with all these acrobatic spots and keep ducking each other. Like, I don't mind that.
And it built to it, right? It wasn't like they went in and climbed the cage and then did it. It's like this is the match where you want a high spot like that. We saw Bronson Reed. He was not acrobatic at all. He did the high spot too. But
Bronson Reed off the top of the cage weighs far more than Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky put together.
yes,
Like not even close. Io plus Tiffany Stratton is not the 300 and whatever pounds of Bronson Reed hurtling off that top of that cage.
Yeah, the momentum's crazy. But I was gonna say, as far as Tiffany Stratton's concerned, she's just a total package.
Yep.
She's great on the mic as a character. She was great as having the Money in the Bank in there today to add a little more interesting intrigue of like, oh wow, can you cash that in? And the ref looked confused. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, I don't know if you can cash that in." It was like one of those things. But then
she'd be pinning her own team members. It's like, what would that do to the War Games match?
Yeah, but she's just thinking of herself. And then, she does the high spot off with Io Sky, showing like she can do everything at this point in WWE, and only a matter of time before she cashes in the Money in the Bank, has the title, and she would be well deserved in such a young career.
Yeah, I mean, think of Io Sky's acrobatics, but a bigger, stronger person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think she's going to be fantastic. I liked some other spots in this match. Rhea, at one point, Liv Morgan's the last person to enter the cage, and at that point, everybody's down except Rhea Ripley, and Rhea's just staring at Liv with this protective mask she's got on that has horns growing out of it and other horns in the back of it. I don't know what she was supposed to look like, but as Liv gets into the ring at one point, Rhea takes off the mask and tosses it aside like, I don't need this, I'm healed. And she's got like the black mask painted on her. Really good stuff. So Rhea's back. That was a neat little visual. Liv looked good, even though she took the pinfall. She hit the Oblivion on Bianca Belair with a chair. The pinfall was broken up by Rhea. Let's see. Eventually, Liv tosses a chair to Rhea and hits a code breaker on Rhea with the chair. She had done that earlier to Bayley as well. So the person who took the pinfall in this match wound up looking pretty good. So nobody got squashed here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about from this match?
A neat spot where Io Sky came up with the fire extinguisher.
Oh, that was
blind
cool.
people at one point.
And that is the thumbnail, too.
That's the thumbnail. Okay, very good. Io Sky grabs the fire extinguisher that I think Bianca Belair had brought into the ring. And she sprayed the fire extinguisher everywhere. People staggered over to the corner. At one point, Raquel Rodriguez staggered into the corner where earlier somebody had put handcuffs. Rhea handcuffed Raquel to the corner. So Raquel wasn't able to participate much the rest of the match. It became like a 5-on-4.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a neat little wrinkle. Now, Raquel was still able to contribute because at one point, Rhea got Liv up for the riptide a little too close to that corner, and Raquel was able to reach out with her free hand and pull Liv down out of the riptide. So that worked. That was very good. Also wanted to manage that wanted to mention the reason why that purple trash can was up there for Io Sky to use is because when she entered the War Games match, she did it by getting the trash can, hitching it over her shoulder and neck, and scaling the cage to enter the cage. So she left the trash can up there for herself. And it was really cool. Like she got into the match by scaling the cage, which in one sense ruined it when Roman Reigns had to do that later.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we already saw somebody scale the cage, and she was dragging a trash can behind her.
Right. She had the trash can.
We already saw someone less than half your size do this, carrying the trash can.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so tough.
Anything you can do, Io Sky can do better.
It's crazy because, at the end of the day, to follow the women's War Games was brutal for anyone.
What followed women's War Games? You want to go right into it now?
Yeah. So we have a what I would call shocking matchup with
Okay.
Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight, and Shinsuke Nakamura wins the U.S. title. And what I would say is a shocking performance here by Shinsuke. Clean as a whistle, too, mind you. Shinsuke wins clean as a whistle over LA Knight. Dom, what you think of this matchup?
This match only goes 10 minutes. I like that it was a different style. And you've brought this up before, that when people wrestle Shinsuke Nakamura, they're going to wrestle a different style than they're used to. And it depends on how much you fight that chemistry as to how the match turns out. Seth Rollins has done it before and done it pretty well. And I thought LA Knight did a good job tonight as well, wrestling in a way that allowed Shinsuke to look good doing his Japanese strong style. So I did enjoy that. Like you said, LA Knight sidestepped to Kinshasa, side slammed Nakamura, then hit his top turn elbow. He waited for the blunt force trauma, but Nakamura rolled under the ropes to the other ring. Now, eventually, Nakamura got the advantage when LA Knight tried to follow him through the partition there in the ring. Tried to do a suplex. Nakamura fought out of it and then inverted DDT LA Knight on the steel connecting the rings. And that set up the Kinshasa for the pinfall. About 10 minutes in, Nakamura is face paint. He looks like a bloody and bruised mess.
Yeah.
Like there's really no colorful pattern to it. It looks like he's just been beat. It looks like he's been in a fight before he started the fight. So I don't know what they're going for with this new character. You've called him Zombie Nakamura. It may be that. Like, he looks like he's dead almost. He looks like he's been beaten to a pulp, and then he goes in there and fights. I do like how quickly Nakamura moves with his sequences. Like this one time where he double axe handled LA Knight's arm to break a hold and then immediately spun into an elbow up near the face.
Yeah.
Like that just good moves by Nakamura. LA Knight did the stuff that we're used to seeing him do. Each guy had an opportunity to fight from underneath and to make their comebacks. And in the end, like you said, surprising, I think, that Shinsuke Nakamura knocks off LA Knight in really his first match back. I mean, he had a match last night against Andrade, which he got the win over Andrade. But like this is, like where's he been? And here he shows up again. He's in a pay-per-view and he wins it.
Zombie Nakamura had the cool new entrance coming out.
Yep. Any spots you really liked from this
LA
match?
Knight might have tipped his hand a little bit. So I went up to rock my baby to sleep, and then I came down. My wife was watching the match, and I was like, I'll rewind and watch it. There's no need for me to watch it. LA Knight's going to win, considering the position of the card.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, LA Knight's going to win this one. I come down. She's like, oh, Shinsuke Nakamura won. I was like, are you serious? What happened? So I rewound it and watched it from the beginning.
There you
go. LA Knight came out, and he had kind of a stink face on when he's coming out. He looked like he knew I'm losing. I'm gonna go do this thing, but I'm not happy.
Okay. Now the announcers played that up as Shinsuke got in LA Knight's head.
Yeah.
Like he really got to him. He called him out for like, this title is the only thing that matters to you. Without it, you're nothing. He'd been sneak attacking him. Last night got him with the mist. LA Knight came running down to the ring after the match, and Shinsuke misted him.
Yeah.
And just blinded him with it and then walked away. So they were playing up that Shinsuke's been getting into his head the last few weeks. Almost cost him a match against Santos Escobar on SmackDown. So I did not catch that from the entrance. I had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the pay-per-view and was playing catch-up, so I was jumping through the long entrances and just watching matches.
Yeah, I liked LA Knight doing from the torture rack. He did a slam that was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the match didn't have a whole ton, but that was okay too. Just really shocking to see LA Knight lose it. The crowd was dead as disco because they had just watched that awesome women's War Games match. So this was literally like a bathroom break match. And the bathroom break match was massive title,
It was rock your baby to sleep break match.
Yeah, right.
Now, on the other hand, after that awesome women's War Games match, you throw LA Knight in there because people are least interested in LA Knight.
Yeah.
And he did get his LA Knight cheers when he did the top turn elbow, where he's on the second turnbuckle. He does LA Knight. The whole crowd was into it. He leaps up to the top turnbuckle, drops the elbow. It looks great. So the crowd was into things like that. So maybe this was a good palate cleanser because like LA Knight's not going to have people fall asleep.
What do you think's going on here? Why did he drop the title?
He's had it since WrestleMania, right?
SummerSlam.
It was only SummerSlam that he won it from Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So it's not like he's had it for that long.
I thought he had it longer than that. Okay, maybe it just seems like he's had it forever since it looks so good on him and he carries himself like a champ.
Yeah, the SummerSlam in Cleveland where Logan Paul wore all the Browns gear and still got booed.
Yes, that's right. You got it. Early August, that's right. Okay, so it's only been a few months. August, September, October, November, almost 4 months.
Yeah.
I think this is good. It's a little bit of adversity. He needs a bump in the road.
Mm-hmm.
So now what does he do? This guy got in his head, sprayed mist in his face, took his title from him in a weird match because he DDT'd him on metal grates that normally wouldn't be there in the ring, except this was War Games.
Yeah.
So I think this will be good.
Or
I don't know. Go ahead.
Or is this a bit of a, if you will, promotion? He's had the U.S. title. Maybe it's time for him to be in the main event at the top of the card and let the U.S. title be for, U.S. title guys.
Okay. I think it's crowded for the SmackDown World Heavyweight Undisputed Universal title chase at the moment. He did have his shot against Roman Reigns and looked great in it a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's been lacking a push. I think there's more at him to do in the Shinkske Nakamura feud where maybe he gets back at Nakamura somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as quick as, say, Bron Breakker taking the belt back from Jey Uso, the Intercontinental belt, which was right after this match here. But I don't think he has to get into that crowded Cody Rhodes picture just yet, especially since they haven't.
Fixer. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I.
Oh, okay. There we go. We love it. If he's wrestling injured, that may explain some of the facial expressions and that maybe he needs some time off. Okay, perfect then.
Yeah.
Explains it perfectly. And in that case, Shinkske Nakamura is the perfect weird guy, mysterious guy to come back and take it.
And maybe
if that's true, Fixer, I love it. Thank you for the contribution. It makes more sense that way. But I will say it makes sense even if he's not hurt. It makes sense that the guy just doesn't have, this smooth climb to the top. It makes sense that there's a bump in the road somewhere that he's got to pick himself up and start climbing again.
Yeah, I know that I had heard, or I should say Liz threw out that, is he hurt? And that's why he's dropping it. I said, maybe. And then Fixer just mentioned that rumor.
Okay.
And here's the thing too, he can continue to have the feud with Shinkske, but if he's hurt, maybe he takes some time off. Another thing, really weird idea here from me. Shinkske Nakamura is Japanese, and they're about to go to Netflix. So maybe there's a big number of people on Netflix that are going to be watching in Japan, right?
Oh,
so they're
okay.
like, oh yeah, we need to put up Nakamura and have a big Japanese champ that they can follow.
That works for me as well. If LA Knight's hurt and maybe can't come back until the Royal Rumble.
By the way, complete speculation, complete guess.
Of course, that's what we do.
We're not
we
Dave
recap
Meltzer,
and then we speculate.
We're not Dave Meltzer saying I heard a rumor and then say it factually, and then the internet gets mad at him. I'm like, yeah, he just makes stuff up. Dude, let him make up stuff.
None of the things we're reporting tonight are, from sources. It's just what would be plausible and what would make sense if they followed through with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are plausible ways they can go with the Shinkske Nakamura title reign. There's ways that it makes sense if LA Knight's hurt. If he's not hurt, There's ways it makes sense if Shinsuke Nakamura is hurt, if he's not hurt, if he's Japanese, if he's not Japanese, if they're going to Netflix, if they're not going to Netflix. There are ways that it's plausible. Nothing here tonight was left you scratching your head going, why would they do that? That makes no sense.